Well, welcome everyone to our first Chromebook. I guess it's a special interest group. We could call it that. We call it Learning Chromebooks. Hewie and I became friends over Chromebooks because we both use Chromebooks and are passionate about them. I have taught a SIG at our own computer club for the past 4 or 5 years, and a number of you here today are also in that SIG. So today we're going to, Hewie and I have a program for you. We're going to talk about some issues with Chromebooks. Many of you here are looking maybe to purchase a Chromebook. You want to know more about Chromebooks. And then there are some users that are probably here that are advanced users and are wondering, you know, is there something here for you? One of the mistakes Hewie and I did realize at the very end is we probably should put an agenda out so that you know exactly what we're going to talk about today, because there may be some times where you don't really want to listen to what we have to say at that particular day. It is our plan to do these on a monthly basis, so we will have an agenda out next month when we have a little bit more footing on what we're going to be talking about. Hewie, have you got anything to say?
Well, this is version 1. And of course, version 1 is always a trial version. So please bear with us. We're going to try to do the best we can to help you and educate you on Chromebooks. As Ron said, both of us are very passionate about Chromebooks. I got into it. I'm in a retirement community, and a couple of my neighbors, several of my neighbors call me on a regular basis. There's something wrong with my computer. One of them called me. He said there was an update in Windows the night before, and somebody had made a shortcut on his desktop so he could play his solitaire or whatever game it was he was playing, and it didn't work anymore, and he didn't know what to do. And so I said, there's got to be an easier way. The second time this happened within a week, so there's got to be an easier way. And I think Chromebooks, which they're being used in kindergartens and first grades and second grades. If those kids can do it, we certainly as seniors should be able to. And so I went out and I bought one to try to learn how to use it and fell in love with it. And I'm on my second one. Robin now has my Acer R11, and I have a Dell 14-inch. I use it probably as much as my desktop, but it's the desktop I use for a lot of the video stuff and editing and photo editing and so on. It's a little bit easier, or it's totally a lot easier on a PC. But other than that, I use my Chromebook for just about everything and love it. And what I want to do, and I know Ron does too, what we're going to try to do is answer questions that you might have that you'll let us know in advance so we can research it, have information ready, but also to cover some basics and then some tips and tricks and things that those of you who have Chromebooks will learn something new at each meeting as well. And with that, Ron, you want me to go ahead and start?
Yeah, why don't you go ahead with your video first?
Okay, this is an intro video. It's got a little bit of a lot of different things, but it might give you, those of you who aren't familiar with them, it may give you some insight, and there's a couple of tips and tricks built into it as well. So let me make sure I share the sound. And here's how to use a Chromebook and the Chrome OS. This has been quite a year. On the upside, 2020 is turning out to be the year of the Chromebook, too. Here's what you need to know about switching to the Chrome OS and how to make the most of it. Chrome OS, what you need to know. What is Chrome OS? Just like its rivals, Mac OS or Windows, Chrome OS comes with a variety of pros and cons. Whether Chrome OS and Chromebooks are for you, will be determined by what you want from the device. Some people find that using the Chrome OS comes with a slight learning curve. That's only because the Chrome OS is different than Windows. It's not necessarily harder to master, you're just used to Windows. That's all. In fact, Chrome OS was designed around simplicity. It's leaner, meaner, and easier to use. It's not burdened down with unnecessary features, and it's capable of running Android apps. The difference between Chrome OS and a Chrome browser. Google's Chrome browser allows you to connect to the internet, the same that Microsoft Edge, Firefox, Opera, Brave, and Safari does. The Chrome OS, on the other hand, is an operating system. An operating system is the low-level software that supports the basic functions of a computer or a phone. Other types of operating systems include Windows, Mac OS for Apple computers, Android for, well, Android-enabled phones, and Linux. In that same sense, Chrome OS is the operating system that powers Chromebooks, just like Windows powers a lot of the desktops and laptops. Decide why you want a Chromebook. Will it be used by a student for schoolwork and studying? Will it be used by a senior citizen who is overburdened with Windows updates, backups, and viruses? Do you want to use it as a gaming device? For work? Is it going to be your entertainment center for streaming music, series, or films? Do you want to create and edit videos? Chromebook is perfect for some of those activities, but not so ideal for others. If you're a hardcore FPS gamer, or you deal with audio or video projects daily, this might not be for you. That said, if you're an occasional gamer, you might want to listen to this too. I'm not going to use Chromebook as my main gaming device, but it is possible to run some low-spec Epic game titles on it. For everyday work tasks, a Chromebook is more than sufficient. For most brands and models, another plus point is the 10 to 12 hour battery life, which makes it ideal if getting to power is an issue. I have found traveling with a Chromebook or working off-site works well with a Chromebook. It's lightweight yet powerful and will keep you connected while you're away from home. Using a Chrome OS and a Chromebook. Here are some pros. Simple and easy to use. Watch videos and use social media. Download Android apps from the Google Play Store. Sturdy, durable chassis. Between 10 to 12 hours of battery life. There's a full keyboard. Here are the cons. It can only download Android apps released after 2017. Most apps aren't customized for the Chrome OS. You can't play AAA games. You can't use desktop programs like Adobe Premiere Plus. And the webcam isn't ideal on most budget devices. The Chrome OS tips and tricks. This is by no means an extensive list of tips and tricks, but will hopefully be enough to get you started on your new Chromebook and Chrome OS. There will be more coming at each of our meetings. Add most important apps to the shelf. Think of the shelf as an extended taskbar. Add the most important apps here for quick access. Needless to say, on my shelf, I have the Chrome browser, my email, my calendar, along with several apps that I use every day. You can also pin a specific website by using these following steps. Open the web page in Chrome. Open the Chrome browser. Navigate to the web page, then select the menu icon in the upper right corner. Select More Tools, and then Create Shortcut. Edit the shortcut description to your liking and select Create in the pop-up window. Right-click or long press the icon in the menu and choose Pin to Shelf. If you want the shortcut to always open the website in a new browser window, select Open as Window checkbox. The new shortcut is immediately visible on the Chromebook shelf. To delete the shortcut, right-click it and select Unpin. Moving or hiding apps. You can also hide a row of apps by right-clicking the shelf and selecting Shelf Position. Then simply choose where you'd like the shelf to go. You can move it to the bottom of the screen, to the left, or to the right. To hide the shelf and status area, right-click the shelf and select Auto Hide Shelf. When hidden, move the pointer to that side of the screen to see your apps, bookmarks, and account picture. Keyboard shortcuts. This is a bit trickier, but you'll get the hang of it in no time. You might notice that Chromebooks don't have a caps lock key. It has a launcher key. You can reinstate the caps lock by opening the settings and selecting keyboard. Then select the drop-down menu to the right of the launcher and select caps locks from the options provided. You can also combine the launcher and the backspace key to do a forward delete. It's useful for writers. Other useful shortcuts include Alt plus the left bracket to lock the current window to the left side of the screen, or Alt plus the right bracket to lock the current window to the right side of the screen. You can also use Alt plus the equal sign to maximize the current window. If you don't want to remember all of that, simply memorize this. Control plus Alt plus the /. It will bring up a window that contains all of the shortcuts you can use. It's even divided into categories for even reference, or use the search option to look up a specific shortcut function. And that's our introduction to Chromebooks. For those of you who are unfamiliar with them, it gives you a little bit idea what they can do and not do. And for those of you who are users, hopefully you picked up a hint or two in some of the tips and tricks that I added.
Thank
Ron?
you, Hewie. What I'd like to do now is I want to share my screen, and I'm going to play a video for you. The video that I'm going to play today is the video is made by a company called Chrome Unboxed, and it's Robbie Payne, who is one of their chief producers of content, and he wrote a video, and I always use this video for our introductory Chromebook classes because I can't do it better than he does it. And it's the 10 things you need to do if you get a new Chromebook. And I think this is a really great video, and I thought it would be a good one to start today. And I'm going to play this for you now.
So you just got a Chromebook. It's not steep, but there is a learning curve if you're coming from Windows or Mac. It's okay. Chrome Unboxed is here to help. Look, there are tons of people like us who have spent lots of time in Chrome OS using Chromebooks and are just very familiar with all of this stuff. And so as we look up things and we write articles, it's really easy to forget there are tons of people that are just now starting to pick up Chrome OS and Chromebooks. And so we wanted to make a video for you guys. And so if you're watching this and you're someone who's been using Chrome OS for a while, this video is probably not for you. You may find something in here that you didn't know about, but likely this is going to be more for your friend or family member who is just now getting into Chrome OS and needs a quick start guide and some tools to help them use their Chromebook as someone who has been using Chromebooks for 6 months or a year. And so we wanted to provide 10 very simple things that can kind of get you jump started in your overall experience. But before we get into those 10 tips, here's a freebie to get us started. NordVPN is the VPN of choice for millions of users. It is the simplest and easiest way to secure your browsing data, whether you're on a Chromebook or you're on a Windows device or a Mac or a phone or Android, iOS, any of them. All you have to do is go over to chromeunbox.com/NordVPN to get started today. All right, so let's get started. Tip number 1, plug in your Chromebook. Now, when you unbox it, it's going to be tempting to pull all the wrapping off, open it up, and hit the power button. 99 times out of 100, that's not going to do anything. And we know because we've unboxed a lot of Chromebooks around here. Google, for whatever reason, I'm sure it has something to do with safety or something, sets these in such a way that when they pack them up, they need to be plugged into the outlet for at least a few seconds before they will power on and connect the battery up to the motherboard. So get it out, plug it in, probably for just a couple seconds. That will wake the device up and you can be off and running. Tip number 2, you're going to need a Google account. And I know a lot of people get really uptight whenever someone says, hey, you need to sign up for yet another thing. But you need to know that a Google account in general isn't just another thing. It's kind of the gateway to using a Chromebook to its fullest potential. And there's not really a way to use it without one. Sure, you can jump in guest mode, and that's one of the options when you go to log in. And you'll use guest mode from time to time. Somebody will need to use your Chromebook, log out, pop it into guest mode, and let them go to town. When they log out, everything they did is gone. That's great. And it's one of the great things about Chromebooks is that they are account driven, meaning all the things that you set up, all the things you download, all the things you do, all the stuff that you accumulate follows that account. And so we're talking about settings, Wi-Fi passwords, all of that stuff is logged into your personal account so that if you drop this Chromebook, lose this Chromebook, move on to another Chromebook, need to just jump into another Chromebook, you can just log in, give it a few seconds to sync up, and everything you had set up on your device will be at your disposal on this other device. A Google account is kind of the keys to the kingdom here. It's going to give you access to Google Docs. It's going to give you access to Gmail, to Google Calendar, to Google Photos, Google everything everything. Basically, it's all tied to that account. So it is something that is absolutely necessary. And again, one of the cool parts about it is with all this stuff being connected to your account, you can also lend your Chromebook to other people, let them sign in with their account. All their stuff's there. It's all siloed. You can't get to it. They can't get to your stuff. It's all completely separated. And you can jump back and forth between accounts really, really quickly and really easily by logging out or just switching accounts. And so it brings a lot of power to the table. And so don't be afraid of signing up for that Google account. You'll need it. You will use it, and it will make your Chromebook experience really, really great. Number 3, use your ports. Chromebooks come with all kinds of ports, and some of them are going to be USB-C only. Some of them are going to be a mix of USB-C and USB-A. You're going to have SD card slots and headphone microphone jacks. The point is, use them because Chrome OS takes very good advantage of these ports. Lots of stuff works with Chromebooks. You can plug all sorts of things in. So if you're even curious about whether or not it would work with your Chromebook, plug it in and see. SD cards work to offload storage and videos and footage and all that kind of stuff. And printers, you can plug them right in. Portable hard drives work really, really well. And wireless and wired keyboards and mice and all of these peripherals just work. Just plug it in and see, and you might be surprised at what will work with the ports on your Chromebook. Number 4, getting around your settings. Now, Chrome OS is pretty simplified as an operating system, but there still are a lot of settings to choose from. So if you go down to the system tray and click where the clock is and then hit your gear icon, you're going to see a long list of settings. And to be honest with you, even after years of using these, I couldn't even tell you exactly where all the things are that I go and tweak because I never actually navigate straight to them. I go straight to the search bar, type what I'm looking for, it highlights it, I go there and change it. So whether you're looking for passwords or you're going to change something on your keyboard or whatever setting it is you're looking for, font sizes, all that kind of stuff, just start typing right up there in that search bar, find what you're looking for and get right to it. It's actually insanely simple, but if you don't use that search bar, the settings can be a little bit overwhelming. Number 5, how to extend your display. For some of you getting this device, you're going to be wanting to get some work done on it and be productive, and luckily Chrome OS does a great job at extending displays. All you got to do if you've got HDMI on your particular Chromebook is hook an HDMI cable into the Chromebook and into the display you want to go to, whether it's a monitor or a TV. Chrome OS will recognize it. Some of you are only going to have USB Type-C. Rest assured, USB Type-C on Chromebooks always has a display out function. You just need an adapter to do that. You can find them on Amazon. We'll link one in the description below. But once you've got it hooked up, there's going to be a notification that will pop up. You click on that notification, it's going to take you right to the spot in your settings where you actually get to arrange how those screens are aligned. And so you want to align them basically the way that you have them physically. Like I like my monitor up here with my actual Chromebook beneath it. I drag it in that way. That way, once you've done that, the mouse cursor can go from screen to screen exactly as you would expect, as if they're exactly there in physical space. And so the setup is super, super easy. If you don't quite get everything you want, maybe you want to change resolution on one of the monitors or something like that, you need to get back, again, go back to the earlier tip on the settings, open that settings panel up, type in display, you'll see it right there, click in, and you can change those things as you see fit. On to number 6. That's keyboard shortcuts. You're going to notice right out of the box that if you've not used a Chrome OS device before, the keyboard looks a little bit different, and that top row function keys, they do kind of what you expect, forward, back, refresh, escape, that kind of stuff is pretty straightforward. There are a couple function keys up there. There's one that looks kind of like a box. You hit it, it's actually going to take whatever you're looking at and go full screen, and the one next to it that looks like 3 boxes will actually go into an overview mode, and we're going to talk about that mode here in just a second with the trackpad. But I'm not really talking about the stuff that's right there in your face on the keyboard. I'm talking about keyboard shortcuts, things where you can hit a combination of keys and do different stuff. And Chrome OS is kind of loaded up with them. There's lots and lots of different things. But simple stuff like copy and paste, for instance, Control V, Control C, Control X work exactly like you would expect them to. Those are the ones I use a lot. Some people look for the delete button, not the backspace. Alt backspace gives you a delete button, but you can see every single one of these keyboard shortcuts if you hit Control Alt Shift and the question mark. And so once you do that, it's going to bring up a searchable database of every shortcut that you can access on your keyboard. Number 7, navigating your trackpad. Google's done a really good job with Chromebooks across the board, regardless if they're cheap or they're really expensive, of making good trackpads a necessity. And because of that, all the gestures work on all Chromebooks. And so I want to talk through a couple of those gestures that are really, really helpful in day-to-day use. So We'll talk about one finger gestures first, which is basically just pointing, but you do have the option of choosing in your settings whether you want to be able to tap to click or actually click the trackpad down to click. Moving on to two fingers, if you want a right click or a context menu to come up, you can tap or click with two fingers onto the trackpad and get that. And then if you want to scroll a page or scroll up and down anything, whether you're in an app or whatever, you want to move the content up and down, two finger scroll moves that content up and down. Moving on to three finger gestures, you can swipe up or down depending on which way you've got that set in your settings on your trackpad with three fingers and get an overview mode to see all of your open windows. And then you can swipe left and right with three fingers on your trackpad if you have multiple tabs open on any single instance of Chrome and move between those tabs quickly. And for me, one of my favorite gestures on Chromebooks in general, and when I go to Windows or Mac or something else, I sorely miss that feature. The last one I want to mention is three finger click to close. So if you're clicked onto or hovering over a tab, three finger click can close that tab where you don't have to go hunting for the little X button there. But the gestures in general always work, and they work really fluidly and they work really well. And Google has done a good job of making sure that that experience is the same regardless if you paid $150 for your Chromebook or $1,000. Number 8, navigating the tablet UI. So as of Chrome OS 70 that came out a few months ago, Google really overhauled the entire tablet interface. So if you've got a Chrome OS tablet or a convertible, the minute you put it into tablet mode, you're going to notice some things have changed. And one of those is the desktop kind of gets replaced by the app drawer. And the app drawer can be swiped through. You pick an app and open it up, and exactly as you would expect to. Once it's open, another cool trick you can do is to go between another app is just swipe right up from the bottom. The app tray will kind of take over the page again. You can choose something. If you choose to back out of that, swipe back down, you're right back into your app. If you swipe down from the top, you're met with a couple options. You can move the app over into side-by-side mode, so you can kind of do a split screen multitask and then choose another app to open there. Or you can drop it down into the overview mode where you see all of your open windows, and from there flick up any of those or hit the X in the corner to close those apps out. And then if you just choose one of those apps in that overview mode, you'll see that app full screen again. And again, from that spot, you can kind of move around using these gestures in any way you see fit. Number 9, leveraging Android and Linux on your device. Now, you may have noticed already there's a little Play Store icon either down on your shelf or in your app tray. And if you choose and you would like to leverage Android apps on your device, click that button. The Play Store will kind of get set up and you'll have access to most of the Play Store, and you can download and try apps, and some of them are great and some of them just are not formatted for the big screen. But you can try and see what you like. If you don't like it, you can go into settings, you can go to the Play Store settings and just turn the whole thing off. It's kind of up to you. And Linux is the same way too. If you're not familiar with a terminal and you don't really know what to do with Linux, just leave it turned off for right now. But if you do and you want to experiment and you want to get in there and mess around with some of the things there, you can actually just go to settings again, go to the Linux section, flip it on, and it will go through an installation process, and then you'll have a terminal where you can start installing things via the terminal just like you would on any other Linux device. And so if you have no idea what I mean when I say a terminal, again, probably a good idea to let that one rest. And for our final tip, tip number 10, power wash your Chromebook. And I don't necessarily mean power wash it right now, especially if you're watching this video on it. But in general, if anything goes wrong or anything's out of place or you've got too much junk installed or you just want a fresh start or you want to hand it off to somebody or you need to return your device, the power wash is the way to go. It's very simple to get to. Go to your settings, search power wash. It's the only thing that's going to come up. Click it, agree to yes, I want to power wash my device. And within just a couple minutes, this thing is going to be back to factory settings. It's not like resetting other devices like Windows or Mac devices where it takes time and you got to just sit there and wait on it. It really is a very, very quick and painless experience. And so if you run into any problems whatsoever, a power wash is the way to go. And since everything is hooked up to your Google account, the minute you power wash it and you need to sign back in, all of your stuff's going to be there again. It's all going to be set up. It's all going to be laid out exactly the way that you left it. And so it's one of the beauties of using a Chromebook in general. All right, guys, so that's it. Those are our top 10 tips getting started for new Chromebook users. And sure, there's plenty of other ones out there that we could talk about. And if there's some tips that you think, hey, this is really important for new Chromebook users to see, hit us up in the comments down below. And if there's enough of them, we might make another one of these videos. But for right now, that's it for this one. If you liked it, hit that thumbs up button, subscribe down below, and until next time, we'll see you.
Yes, well, that's I think that's a great video. I always learn something when I watch it again, and I think it's we'll put the links into the show notes so that you can play that over and over again. Now, the next thing that I always like to do with new Chromebook users is I like to go over the keyboard, because fundamentally the keyboard is different. As Robbie Payne said, we don't have function keys. I think it's always important to look at the keyboard of our new Chromebook and see how to use the keys. And so for that, I found an excellent. This is produced produced by a teacher to teach teachers on how to use Chromebook keyboards, and I think you'll enjoy this.
Hello students, today we're going to be looking at the basics of your Chromebook, particularly the keyboard and your touchpad. It is a little different from a regular laptop, and there's some shortcuts that you'll need to know. Teachers, if you need to pause this video, please do so now in order to give your class time to open up the lid of their Chromebooks and to log in, because I want them to look at the keyboard as I go over this tutorial. Let's take a look at your Chromebook keyboard. In particular, let's look at the top row. Some of these buttons I'm not going to go over because you're going to be using it with a combination of a second button. I will talk about it briefly, but we're going to be looking at that more when you look at shortcuts and combinations. First, I want to tell you, don't get overwhelmed with this. There's so many different little hotkey combinations and shortcuts, and we have that on regular laptops. Some of them you're going to learn, some of them you're not, and some it's not really going to be any easier for you than going through the full process that you normally take in order to have these different functions, such as copying and pasting. But you need to be aware, because there's a few things that you just can't find on the keyboard of a Chromebook versus other laptop. So I don't want you to be confused about that, and I'll be pointing some of those out. But looking at this top row, notice Escape. That's pretty standard. You're going to use that button if you are in a web page, for example, and let's say that you're looking at a slide presentation, or it could be a video. The Escape button will allow you to de-emphasize a player or a slide presentation and go back to that main web page wherever it's embedded. Let's look at some other keys. One thing you'll notice is you have these arrow buttons. You have a back button and a forward. You can push these on your keyboard if you want to go to the previous page in your browser history. This is exactly the same as a back button that you will see when you are online. And that forward button will give you the next page in your browser history. The next key is very powerful, and you will probably use this many times. I talked about this when we went over the troubleshooting tutorial. This is your reload refresh key. It's very important to try this if you have a web page that is not loading or is stuck, frozen. Oftentimes this fixes it. So that is when I reference to you the reload refresh. That's where it's located, right there at the top. Let's look at the settings and how to quickly change them for your screen. You have two different buttons. It looks like little round circles. Of course, you have these little spikes coming out. One's smaller and one's larger, here and here. You can use these keys to adjust the brightness of your screen. The smaller one is to make it more dim. And then right beside it, you have the brightener that will increase the brightness of your screen. Beside the keys that impact the setting of the brightness of your screen, you have keys that you can use to mute the volume of your computer, to decrease the sound, and to increase. I suggest every student use this mute button. What you don't want is for a distraction during class if you click on a link and a video begins playing automatically, and that does happen. So unless your teacher wants you listening to something, my suggestion is to always have it muted. And then the last key is your power key. Now, even though I have on this tutorial power off and on, I wanted to explain something to you that I think is kind of cool about a Chromebook. You may want to power it off if you're using it as a troubleshooting tip, and also maybe between classes just to conserve your battery. What's interesting about a Chromebook, though, is if you don't power it off, when you close the lid, it's not going to shut it off. You don't have to turn it on. All you have to do is open your lid, and it's on automatically. If you would like to pull up a keyboard for you to view and see all the shortcuts, let's try this now. You can do this on your own screen. Find the control key. It's in the bottom left of your Chromebook keyboard. Push the control key down and also the Alt and question mark. You have to hold all three of these at the same time. What you should see on your screen is an actual keyboard. You can try pushing different keys to see the combinations and what they do. For example, try pushing Control once you see that keyboard displayed. Pushing the Control key, it'll show you shortcuts that you use with Control and what it will do. Once you've looked at those, you can also try this with Shift, and it'll show you when you hold Shift and other keys what function it will enable. And also try it with Alt. As you can see, as you're kind of exploring this, there are many different ways to enable functions just using your keyboard. A few things, these are shortcuts that I think you're going to need to know, and you're going to end up using this quite a bit. One thing you're going to notice on your keyboard, there's no caps lock. The way to make a capital letter is to push down Alt as well as your search icon. You have to hold this at the same time, and that will enable you to type a capital letter. And when you're ready to go back to lowercase, you will have to do the shortcut key combination again. You'll push Alt and that search. Something else that might be different for you is, I tend to already use this, but it may be new for some of you, is when you copy something, Control C, and then to paste it, Control V. You may find that this is easier to copy and paste because your touchpad does not do right clicks the way a regular touchpad will do on a different laptop. So it's easier for some to do Control V. Now, there are ways to do a right click. It's just not the way you're probably used to. And that's when you take your two fingers and you place them on your touchpad. That will give you that right click function. What I want to do now is we're going to stop the video, and I want you to watch this video on YouTube that will explain to you some other differences, additional information on your Chromebook keyboard and how to use your touchpad.
So yes,
Ron, she definitely had some interesting things there, and doing the caps lock. That's knowing that keystroke. That's very good to know.
Right. So the next thing I'm going to place. I have one more video I want to show everybody, but I want everyone needs to really understand about the keyboard and how it works, because it does work a little bit differently. The other thing that's really important that Robbie Payne showed you was how to work your trackpad. Now, with your Chromebook, you can either use your mouse, And I know Chris Rosinski, who teaches our Chromebook SIG with me, he calls mice dead rodents. And you know, he always brings an old one along and shows this is a dead rodent, and he's a trackpad guy. And I must admit, he's converted me over, and I'm using my trackpad more and more. But it's so important that if you're going to use your Chromebook and you're going to use your trackpad, you need to know about the 1 finger, the 2 finger, and the 3 finger gesture. It is also important that you understand that you can do these by just tapping, but also on your trackpad, there's a click. And if you push the actual trackpad down, you can actually make it click, which will be the same as a 1 finger touch. And that you can adjust in the setting. Most people just use it as a 1 finger, 2 finger, or 3 finger touch. So again, Robbie Payne explained that very clearly in his video. So please practice that. I see people, one of the mistakes I see people who are using Chromebooks for a long time is they simply only use their 1 finger. And you see them moving the finger around and doing their 1 finger. And that really limits the functionality of, if you're going to use the trackpad, it limits your functionality on a Chromebook. So learn the 1 finger, 2 finger, and 3 finger touch. Now I wanted to, just a minute here. This is a video I've made now, and I just want to show you this video.
Good morning. It's Ron Brown with Silvercom Computer and Technology Club. Today I want to talk about how to upgrade the operating system on your Chromebook. First of all, there is no need to watch this video. Chromebooks will upgrade automatically to the latest operating system, so you need to do absolutely nothing. However, I wanted to review a couple of issues with you. The first is there are 2 copies of the Chromium operating system on your Chromebook. There is a primary operating system which you use with the running of your machine, but there is a backup or second copy of that operating system on your Chromebook. It is the secondary copy that is updated. It is also the secondary copy that has to go through, remember those security checks we talked about last year, and the TPM module. This is the security chip in your Chromebook. Your secondary operating system has to be verified and will go through 3 levels of security, comparing it to the TPM module. Once it is verified it is secure, it will become your primary operating system. However, to do that, you have to reboot your computer. Now, this is how I close my computer. Bad habit, since closing it like that just puts it to sleep. So if that is how you close your Chromebook, it's never going to get updated. How many of you do it this way? You come to the settings and you come up to the shutdown button and you actually turn the Chromebook off. When you do this, it will reboot when you open the lid, and the secondary copy will now become the primary copy of your operating system, and it will have upgraded itself. Now, since I have this bad habit of closing the lid, I update mine manually. So in this diagram, you'll see I come up to settings. We then bring the cursor over to the left side and down to the About Chrome OS. We'll click on this. Let's go up and check my version. This is the current version that I am running. I'm going to check for updates, and I see that my Chromebook is up to date. If there was an update to do, it would install it at that time, and ask me to reboot my computer. And when I did, it would switch copies and make sure the updated version was my current copy. So the goal of this video was to show you how to manually update the operating system of your Chromebook. Ron Brown with Silvercom Computer and Technology Club.
Ron, I have a follow-up to that I'd like to play, if I could.
You can play your little heart out. But before you do that, can I just mention one thing?
Sure.
So I want everybody to understand, on your Chromebook, there's 2 copies of the operating system. It's an itty bitty little operating system because it doesn't need much power to run. And so there's 2 copies. There's a primary copy and a secondary copy. And the nice thing about Chrome OS is it doesn't bother you. It all does it in the background. You don't need antivirus protection. It's all included. Everything is included in that operating system. And not only does it get updated frequently, but you'll never know that because it's always updated in the background. You'll never get the Windows 10 thing where it interrupts you in the middle of a presentation and says, we want to upgrade your system. This always does it in the background, and it does it in the secondary copy. Now, what happens is if you, to initiate this, and then it switches the copy, it takes the secondary copy and makes it the primary copy. That switching of the operating system requires you to turn your computer off. And as Robbie Payne said, and as I demonstrated in that video, you really, if you do like I normally do and I just close the lid, it never really shuts it off. So it is important in a Chromebook that at night when you go to bed, you do turn it off, okay? And then when you get up in the morning, you can turn it back on and you'll get the current version. All right, that's go ahead, Hewie.
Yeah, the nice thing about when you shut it off and when you turn it back on, within 5 seconds you're back up and running.
That's
too.
right.
So,
that's right.
it's not like Windows where you have to go get a cup of coffee and then wait. Hi, I'm Hewie Poplock. Today we're going to talk about updating your Chromebook. Generally, Chromebooks update themselves. You don't have to be concerned about it. But I thought you might be interested to see how the updates happen and how it does not require any intervention on your part and how quickly it does it, as opposed to some of the other operating systems. Let's first check to see if the operating system needs to be updated. We do so by going first to Settings. And then you'll notice on the left where it says About Chrome OS, it'll show you the version. You click a check for update, and it tells me that I'm already updated. If it needed updating, it would tell me, and I could click a button and it would do it. Okay, so let's see about updating your apps. It has to be done from the Play Store. There's a couple of places where you can find the Play Store, which I just showed you. You click on the Play Store and then go to My Apps and Games. On the updates column, you'll see that it shows all of the pending updates, and there are 5 of them when I did this video. And just to show you, I went to one of them to show you. It explains what is in the update. Sometimes it'll just say bug fixes. And then when I click Update All, it will do all of them. I'm going to do this real time so you see how quickly it does these updates. But one of the things you're going to notice, it's different than when you update applications and programs in the other operating systems like Windows, Mac OS, iOS, and so on. There's nothing that pops up and says, do you want to update? Do you want to allow this? Do you want to do this? Do you want to do that? It just goes ahead and does it. Normally, as I mentioned earlier, this is all done in the background. You don't need to control it. You don't need to click anything. It just happens. But if you want to check to see if there are some waiting to do the updates, you can do it the way I'm showing you. And then you can say, okay, go ahead and do it now instead of waiting till it's doing it in the background. But it'll do it all in the background, and it doesn't interfere with anything else that you're doing. And you're seeing how quickly it does each of the updates. It downloads it first, it does the install, and then it says, okay, it's done. It puts it in the recently updated, and goes to the next one. And we're now on the last one. And it's just about finished. It's doing the installing, and it's now completed all of those 5 updates that quickly, and that was in real time. I want to thank you for joining us. Let your Chromebook do its own updating, but if you want to check on it and you want to do it yourself, this is how you do it.
And Hewie, I wanted to also tell everyone is Hewie talked about apps, and when we have Chromebooks, we have apps, not programs. As many of you here are coming from the Windows environment, and you know in Windows installs programs, and these have DLL files. They have, it's like the roots go down below the ground into the operating system, and it's often hard to get those programs out. In the Chrome operating system, the apps sit on top of the operating system, and the apps are actually treated as hostile by the operating system. They have no interaction whatsoever with the operating system. So you can install tons of apps, you can delete lots of apps, not a problem, because it never has anything to do with the operating system. Also, there's sandboxing. So between each tab if you have a bunch of tabs open in your Chromebook, the application or app can only function in that window. It can't get out of the window. We call this sandboxing. And all your apps are sandboxed, so there is nothing wrong with what an app can do. And if you go to a bad site, if you go to something that has a lot of bad things on it, the worst I've ever seen happen is that particular tab stays open, and all you have to do is turn your Chromebook off and turn it back on again, and boom, it's all fine. Remember, your Chromebook has all the antivirus software you need. It has all the anti-mal. You don't have to do anything. You do not need any of those installs on a Chromebook. It is completely safe. So and if you have to reinstall the operating system, it takes about 1.5 minutes. Now you can imagine Windows 10, reinstalling Windows 10. I give those to Dewey. I get Dewey to do those. I never want to do, that's a day-long project. Don't want to do that. So Hewie can do those reinstalls, but for a Chromebook, simple. It's so simple.
Ron, there's a question in the chat box. I thought, what about the Chrome Web Store?
So there are, when Chromebooks first came out, prior to 2017, the apps that were going to be used on Chromebooks are called Chrome Web Apps, and those were found in the Chrome Web App Store. In 2017, Google made a big announcement and said, we are opening this up. We're going to take all those Android apps that you have and all those for all those Android phones, and we're going to make them all available to run on a Chromebook. Whoa, that was pretty cool. And they did. And over a year or two, that happened. So now you can get your apps in 2 different places. You can get them either at the Play Store, which Hewie showed you that. You can go to the Play Store and download them, or you can get them at the Chrome Web Store. So you get them at both places. Now, interestingly enough, we were talking earlier today about Zoom, because Zooming on a Chromebook. Now, if you go to the Play Store and you look, you'll see a bunch of Zoom apps, but they're not really apps. If you look who they're written by, they're third party. I'm not sure what they are for. If you want the actual Zoom app on your Chromebook, you go to the Chrome Web Store and you'll see it's Zoom there by Zoom, right? And that's where you get it. So you get your apps in 2 different places. Okay, that should answer that question.
Phil asked, can a Chromebook be part of a Windows 10 network? Absolutely. I have mine on my network. It connects to the Google Drive. My Windows 10 machine connects to the Google Drive, so I can do a document on my Chromebook and immediately go to my PC, and it's out on the Google Drive. I can access it and also edit it there. I can also use the printer through the same network and so on. So anything you want to add to that, Ron?
Nope. Printer, I know we're going to get questions on printers. So yeah, on printing. So let me do the advanced notice here on printing. So printing is fine on Chromebooks. There's not a problem printing on Chromebooks at all. My advice, if you're thinking about buying a Chromebook and you're thinking about maybe replacing your printer, Hewlett-Packard printers all work on Chromebooks. They are the easiest ones to connect. They come with all the technology in any HP printer that you buy now. Is plug and play to a Chromebook. Chromebooks are real simple to hook to HP. Canon, a little bit more difficult. Their newer models seem to work better. And then of course you have, what's the third one? Brother.
I mean, I use a Brother.
You don't have a problem with Brother, yeah. No. So
getting
anyway.
it set up is a little bit difficult because you have to have Chrome print.
Right.
But I understand that they fixed a lot of that in some of the later versions of the Chrome OS.
Yeah, they've made printing really easy on a Chromebook now, so you shouldn't have.
Epson's won't connect very well.
Pardon me?
Epson's will not connect very well.
Yeah, I got a feeling it depends on the if it's probably a newer Epson, maybe I don't have a lot of experience with Epsons.
My Epson has no problems on my Chromebook or my Windows computer.
No, I can't get mine to connect. I don't know why.
It could be is it an older one?
No, it's a fairly new one. It's an XP6000.
Okay.
Which I bought last year, I think.
Last year. So the simplicity of a Chromebook is in its beauty, and I think that particularly in the times of Windows 10 and all the stuff we're going through, and those of you trying to install 2004 update for Windows 10, it is a lot of work, and I use my Chromebook for everything. I can't imagine I just can't imagine not using it. It's so simple to use, and you won't have any of the trouble with upgrading as you do with the Windows 10.
Ron, we're in our final minutes. I did want to read one more question. It says,
Sure.
Where do I find the recordings for the presentations? We are recording this, and we haven't decided yet where it's going to end up.
Why don't we put it on Tech for Seniors? Why don't we make a web page? We'll put a page on Tech for Senior and we'll put it up there, right?
Yeah, but you'll be getting a link to wherever we put it, and so you'll be able to watch it again, and then we'll get that ironed out in the next couple of sessions, and we'll start probably posting some things besides the videos on the website page. So we'll have some. We're kind of feeling our way through this to see how best to help everybody, because we do have such a diverse group of you, from those of you who have no idea what a Chromebook is to those of you who use it regularly and want to have some help with some things that you don't do now or would like to know how to do.
And we'll send you out in the show notes as well my recent Chromebook video that I've made, Chromebooks for Everyone in 2020, and it lists all the current, it's pretty current, so it lists all the current models and how much it costs and what are the good deals and so on and so forth. So it lists all those in there. So if you're looking to buy one, then you should watch it.
Ron, we have an assignment for everybody too, don't we?
Yes, we'd like you to email questions to us. We would like to know what you want us to talk about, right? So we don't know. But we would like you to send us an email and say this is the topic I'd like you to do for the next show, and we'd like you to send it to. You can write this down: admin ADMIN @ techforsenior.com. And
Yes,
if you
one
simply-
senior.
Yeah, not seniors, senior. Tech, I'll write it in the chat for you here. It's just admin at tech for senior. And what we would like you to do is, did we get that? Did that come up?
I think you did it privately to whoever asked you a question. Try to do it publicly to everyone.
All right, let's do it. All right, here, we'll do this one here. Sorry. There you go.
Yeah.
If you send that to us, then we have some information, and we will try and do a show, or we'll do a topic on that for next time. I think next time, hopefully everyone has their Chromebooks, and we'll maybe talk a little bit about the apps and how the apps work, and some of the new features with the apps that you can download and install.
Well, we've used up the hour, Ron.
I know,
Wow,
I know.
That's gone by
Boy.
quickly.
Went by.
And
just-
good work, you guys. It was really interesting, very helpful.
Hopefully everybody enjoyed that. I guess we'll be here next month, eh? What do you think?
I'm
Hugh?
planning on it.
Yeah, I think I had a good time today.
Thank you.
Yes, I had a
And
good time.
I will stop the recording.
Okay.